question 2. We've been looking at settlement, rural and urban settlements. Now let's look at the economic geography of South Africa. Um, Sometimes when you're writing this question, you feel that you have been writing one thing over and over because the answers are so similar from one question to another. So do not fear if you feel that the question that you are writing, the answers are more or less the same as the answers on the previous question. Answer the very same or give the very same answer that you gave because we're talking about economy. And then most of the questions, they are the same. So what are we going to be looking at here? We're going to be looking at economic sectors. We have primary sector. We have already explained that primary activities or primary sector refers to the extraction of raw material. So there is no processing, extraction of raw material. Secondary is manufacturing of goods or adding value to raw material or processing raw material into finished goods. Example is industry, manufacturing, and building. That's secondary sector. Then tertiary activities is provision of services. An example is distribution, selling, education, health, finance. So those are the services. And then quaternary simply refer to the research or high technology. Now, primary sector. Let's look at primary sector. The one that we will be looking at, we're going to be focusing on primary. We'll be looking at farming and mining. Now, let's look at the factors that favor primary sector. We said, what are the factors that favors primary sector? We said it's availability of labor, availability of market, improved technology, availability of fertile soil, and wide range of climate. But if you look at all these factors up here, you can always apply them also into mining. Mining will also need labor, it will need market, it will need improved technology. So as much as we're looking at as factors that favors farming, these factors as they are, except for fertile soil, because mining does not need fertile soil, and wide range of climate. Actually, climate also, climate, you cannot use it as it is as wide range of climate. We'll look at what climate is required for mining. But these factors as they are, if you are looking at factors that favor farming and factors that favor mining, you can use them the same way as here. Because now we have availability of labor. Here we're talking about availability of skilled, semi-skilled, and unskilled labor. So it's still the same thing, availability of labor. Availability of water for cleaning the minerals. There are good transport infrastructure or networks. Also here we need transport network that we can transport raw material or farm products from one place to another. Availability of foreign and local markets also here. So these factors, you can use them interchangeably. If you have availability of industries, for an example, there are industries that are also manufacturing farm products, or that are manufacturing using the farm products. There are also industries that are manufacturing using the mining raw materials. Actually, it's not products, it's raw material. So these factors, you can use them interchangeably. You can use them when you're looking at factors that favor farming and mining, except if you are writing a question based on an extract, and the question is about the factors that favor, according to the extract, what are the factors that favor mining. So you should also check what the question is requesting of you. But if the question is open-ended, you can use these factors interchangeably. And now, let's look at the factors that hinder. Let's look at the factors that hinder let's look at the factors that hinder primary activities. Primary activities, which will be farming and mining. Now, let's start first with farming. Labor strikes. Technology is playing tricks on me. Okay. Factors that hinder farming. It will be labor unrest or strikes. So you can also use it here. Also in mining, if there are strikes, there's no production. So you can use it there. Labor cost, which it's minimum wage. So you can it's going to hinder farming. But also you can use the very same factors here. Natural disaster like droughts and floods. Okay, you cannot use natural disasters like droughts and floods because mining will not use will not focus mainly on floods and droughts because it's not necessarily influenced by climate that much. But political factors, the political factors that are going to hinder farming will still be the political factors that could also hinder mining. So these factors, as they are, you can use them on both sides. And then inconsistent exchange rates. So inconsistent exchange rate, you can use it for farming. You can also use it for mining. Underground flooding. Okay, underground flooding will be strictly applied to mining because when you're doing mining, you cannot be talking about underground flooding, but you can be talking about flooding. Here you're talking about underground flooding because mining is taking place in the shaft, but here you can talk about factors that hindering farming. You can also talk about flooding, like we were talking about droughts and floods. But here it will be just drought on the surface. But you must be careful with economic geography, like settlement geography. The questions here are very specific. You must be careful. The specific questions, you must give them specific answers. If a question asks you to give the economic factors that favors, or economic factors that hinders, or physical factors that favors, or physical factors that hinders. So you must be careful. That is only the trick when it comes to this human geography. Human geography is mostly practical. It's applicable in our daily lives. However, we could get things wrong. Like for an example, you're looking into settlement geography and you talk about the problem there being traffic congestion and you calling it traffic. You get no mark for saying it's traffic, but you get full marks for saying it is traffic congestion. So it is a question of trying to use a geographical concept in a correct way. It is how we phrase our answers that makes our answers to be correct or incorrect. So you must be careful of how you respond to the questions because many a times you know the answer, but how you phrasing your question is incorrect. It's incorrect. And then what do you have again? Factors that hinders, it's labor unrest or strikes. So labor unrest or strikes can be applied on both ways. We said here we can have underground flooding, but here we can have flooding. So the factors are very common. The rise in labor costs. So the rise in labor costs, we apply it from farming, we apply it for mining. Transportation of mining products to the harbor is expensive because mines are far away from the harbor. You can also use that as well. That transportation of raw material of farm products that are farmed in the interior, farming is far from the coast. So you can just use the answers on both sides because it is economic geography. We're talking about economy, and then we're looking at factors that can affect economy. So diseases such as HIV and AIDS, also diseases such as HIV and AIDS. You can also talk about COVID-19. You saw when it was COVID-19, most of the activities were halted. So it can be also diseases like HIV AIDS. As much as it's going to affect mining, it will also affect farming. It will also affect all other industries. So the answers to many of the questions are related to each other. They are linked to each other. Now, let's look at the importance of primary sector. This is the most common ones. The answers here are so common. Both are contributing to the GDP of the country. Mining contributes to the GDP, farming contributes to the GDP. They both create employment. They both contribute to the GNP. So they both contribute to the GNP. Again, they both have multiplier effect. They both have multiplier effect. What do we mean by multiplier effect? Farming, if there is a farm is going to give rise or is going to stimulate the development of an industry that is going to manufacture farm products. Let's say, for example, farming is going to stimulate the development of conflicts because they have to do packaging, because they're going to process a maize. Now, when the maize is being processed, the maize is going to need, there's going to be a need for packaging. So farming and packaging are different industries. So packaging industry will develop because they want to package farming products. Well, for example, we're talking about sugarcane farming. Sugarcane farming as a product that we are doing in 2025. So multiplier effect, it means somebody else is producing sugar, but they need to take sugar. Somebody else is producing sugarcane. The end product of sugarcane is sugar. So what's going to happen? Somebody else is going to package that sugar from sugarcane, and then that is a multiplier effect. Somebody who's producing milk, and they're going to turn milk into cheese or into yogurt. Somebody else must manufacture the packaging, and somebody else must also do the labeling of all the products that will be packaged. So that is a multiplier effect. When one company leads, or when one industry leads to the development of another industry, that is what we call a multiplier effect. And that multiplier effect is going to result in job creation and improve in the economy. Farming is going to promote infrastructure development, and also mining will also encourage. Mining can also encourage infrastructure, or it will also promote infrastructure development. Gold mining attracts foreign investment. Also, farming will also attract foreign investment. There will be people who coming in South Africa looking that the South African land is fertile. How can we make the best? So these factors can be used interchangeably. It ends foreign exchange through export. So when we export farm products, we're going to earn foreign exchange. Also, when we export raw material in terms of minerals from mines, we'll also earn foreign exchange. So whatever you have learned as importance of mining can also be applied as importance for mining, farming and mining, because it's all extraction of raw material. Except you cannot say this one provides minerals. You cannot say farming provides minerals, because farming does not provide minerals. They both provide raw material. Yes, they provide raw material for industries, but you must know that raw material can be farm products, or raw material can be minerals from the ground. So raw material is something that will be used in order to manufacture something, but it could be a farm product, it could be a mining raw material. Now, let's look at under farming. We have two types of activities that we're looking at here. We're looking at small scale farming and large scale farming. We're looking at We're looking at small scale farming and large scale farming. Under farming, so what is the difference between large scale and small scale? The difference there is large and small. The difference there is the word large and small, and the scale refers to the size. So large scale farming simply refers to farming that is done over a larger area, and small scale farming simply refers to farming over a small area. That is the long and short. You can summarize that. So when it's talking about large scale farming, so the difference between large scale farming and small scale farming uh, is only about a size there. Now, let's look at the characteristics of large-scale farming and small-scale farming. Farmers produce crops or livestock to make profit. So, most of the most of the large-scale farming most of the large scale farming is done commercially. Most of the large scale farming is done commercially, which means now it is done for profit. That's large scale farming. And then small scale farming is usually done for subsistence benefits. It's for benefit of individual because it's small scale. It means you are producing fewer livestock or you're producing fewer products. And this one, large scale farming usually uses modern machinery, is specialized in one or two crops. This is what we call monoculture. That's your large scale farming. Livestock farmers keep large herds with selected breeding stock. You'll find that most of the time, if they are keeping Bonsmara, they're keeping Bonsmara alone, or if they are keeping Brahman or whatever livestock that they are keeping, it will be a similar type of livestock. And then if they are doing crop farming, it will either be a sunflower farm, it will be a sugarcane farm, or it will be soya bean. It will be any farm product that they could keep. But usually it is monoculture. They focus in one product. And then farming methods are very scientific for large-scale farming, and farmers keep up to date with the latest techniques because they want to produce as much, because this is the kind of farming that contributes to food security at a larger scale. It contributes to food security at a national level. But small-scale farming contributes to food security over a smaller scale, local food security. So we'll look at what is food security when you continue. And this one has got large labor pool. It means that because it's covering large area, so it requires many people to work on. And then small scale can produce variety of products. So it's usually mixed farming that you have there. You can keep livestock together with crops, and then you can keep different kind of livestock. You can have Brahman mixed with Bonsmara, mixed with all Simantale, all this other livestock that you have. Then you can have a small portion where you have your cabbage, small portion where you have beetroot, spinach, and what have you. So it's usually mixed farming for your small scale farming because it is usually done for subsistence purposes, which means it is for own consumption. And large-scale farming is usually done for commercial purposes, which means it is done for profit purposes. And it is, like the name says, small-scale farming. This used over a smaller plots or smaller land. There is limited use of fertilizers. Usually is manual labor, but here we said usually it uses machinery. So here in large scale, because the area that must be cultivated or farmed, it is a very huge area. So they will usually use machinery here and techniques. But here, because it's usually a smaller area, they can the farmers or the employees usually use manual work. And then there is some mechanization, not extensive mechanization is used here. It is mechanization, but limited to a certain degree. There is some capital input because definitely you will have to buy something in order to do your small scale farming, either your deep, your fertilizers, whatever material that you need. It can be intensive, meaning that small land can be used to maximize profit. It is mostly produced for home market. So Sometimes you get a question in your examination and the question wants you the type of farming that contribute to local food security. You must know that it is small scale farming, but this one will large scale farming will contribute to national food security. And then also large scale farming can be criticized and said that it contributes to food insecurity. You can criticize it, say it contributes to food insecurity because there is little production that is taking place there. So you can say because of little production, therefore, it means there's not going to be a lot of food that is being produced. So you can say it produces to food insecurity. And then also you can say it also contributes to food security. So you can argue it in two ways. It contributes to food insecurity because of little production that is taking place. Then you can also say it contributes to food security because it makes sure that small households have got their own meals. So it's one of the tricky questions that you can deal with when you have to answer whether it contributes to food security or it does not contribute to food security. But usually the questions will be specific to contribute to high food security or local food security or national food security. But if the question, you have to choose between the two farming, and the question says which one will contribute more to food security, you will just have to look at the quantity, which one produces more. Then that is how you'll get your answer. Now, there are examples of your large scale farming and small scale farming. You can see large scale farming here. What do we have here? We have a large land here using larger machinery, but here you can see the machinery that is being used here is a little bit smaller. You can see a large head of cattle. You can see the cattle number here. Then you look at the cattle here. So large scale farming. Then you can see here we have this product, we have this products, we have different types of products. But here we have same type of products that are being produced here. Here you have same products that looks like maize here. And then you can also see there is not much of the machinery that is used. People here are using manual work. So that's what we mean by using a manual. You can see this person here also driving their own thing here, pushing it. So it makes it very manual. Now, our farm product that we focus on in 2025 is sugarcane farming. So when you're looking at the importance of sugarcane farming, it's not going to vary from the importance of farming itself. The importance of sugarcane farming is not going to be different from the farming of the general concept of importance of farming. The only difference here will be the specifics. Where is sugarcane being farmed and what type of products is there? But when it comes to general importance, we said farming and mining contributes to the GDP. We said farming and mining contributes to the GDP. Also, it means if we said that about farming in general, also sugarcane farming will have the same source of employment. Is the same thing that we spoke about when we talking about the general importance. Multiplier effect is the same thing that we spoke about. Supplier of industries such as sugarcane processing plants supply industries with raw material. Mining supplies industries with farming product. Mining provide industries with raw material. Also, sugarcane and all other types of farming provide industries with raw material. So it's the same thing. Contributes to food security. So sugarcane will also contribute to food security because with sugarcane, not that people are going to keep on eating sugar forever. No, sugarcane, because is going to create jobs. So people will be able to afford other products. Also, sugar can be used for food processes. I mean, not food, for food processing, or it can be added in other food products. So sugarcane is important because it contributes to food security in South Africa. So food security will take number of ways. There will be examples in which it contributes to sugarcane. You use sugar for food products, your ice cream, your sweets, all the sugar products. Also from sugarcane farming, you're going to earn money. And earning money is going to allow you to do a number of things that can allow you to be able to buy food for yourself. So that is what we mean by it contributing to food security. It is high employment. So these factors here, this importance here is the same importance as when we started looking at the importance of primary sector. Is the same thing. If you have mastered the importance at the beginning when we're looking at the importance of farming and mining, is the same factors here. You don't have to try to learn these specifics, because as much as they are specific to sugarcane farming, they are also general factors that favors farming, that favors, they are also importance, not factors favor, they are also importance of all other economic activities. And as much as we're looking at it here as importance of sugarcane farming, you can also look at these factors as importance of any other activity. It is the importance of secondary sector. All secondary sector contributes to the South African GDP, source of employment, multiplier effect. It is also importance of tertiary sector. It is also importance. So when it comes to economic geography, most of the facts are related to each other and must not be separated. So if you feel that the answers are the same as the answers that you gave on the previous question, you must give it. One of the things that you should never do is to leave questions unanswered. Make sure that you answer all questions. Make an attempt to answer all your questions. Now, that was that. Now, let's look at sugarcane farming. What factors favor sugarcane farming? Here, we are going to have some specifics, unlike when we're looking at the factors that favors farming in general. So there will be other conditions that you could give when you're looking at the factors that favors farming, which are general conditions. But there are also conditions that are specific to sugarcane farming, because sugarcane farming is not done everywhere. So there will be specific factors that favor sugarcane farming, but there will be other factors that you could get from the factors that we're looking at, factors that favors farming. Number one. Now let's look at the specific factors. You said it requires enough rainfall. Enough rainfall. Government support by subsidizing both the small scale, large plots of land to make for maximum usage. Good infrastructure. So good infrastructure is something that you spoke about when you're talking about general factors. Use of technology is also a general factor that is going to favor farming, is going to favor sugarcane farming, is going to also favor mining. So these are the factors. You must be careful that these are related factors. These are related factors. Institutions of higher learning provide farmers with skills for farming. So this will be the specific factors. Banks giving loans to the farmers in a form of capital. Arable land is suitable for the plantation of sugar. Sugarcane plantation are closer to the processing industries to reduce cost and to reduce transport cost. So these are the factors that you are going to be looking at, which are specific to sugarcane farming. But there are other factors that are also common to all type of farming or to all other economic activities. Like all economic activities require labor. All economic activities require market. So those are the factors that are general that you can give for every economic activities. Now, what are the challenges that hinders sugarcane farming? Number one, it is the shortage of rainfall, which reduces sugar production because sugarcane requires high humidity. It requires warm temperatures. It requires moist temperatures. So the shortage of rainfall is the one that will hinder sugarcane farming. Climate change, because climate change results in regular droughts and floods, which reduce the amount and quality of sugar cane. Distance from the international market also influences sugarcane farming. Government contribution, which is low government subsidies, will push up the sugar prices, and then that is going to hinder sugarcane production. Unreliable inflation. So sometimes the inflation is high, sometimes the inflation is low. So that affects in trade because people or farmers will want to sell their products or to export their products when the value of their products is high so that they can make more profit. So once their value of products or their product is valued lower, it means now they are going to gain less profit, and therefore it's going to discourage farmers from exporting their profits or their products. And then lack of funding. If farmers don't have money and there is no funding from the government or from banks or from any other external person who can assist, it becomes difficult for them to do farming, and that is going to hinder a farm product. You find that now a farmer will have to stop producing the sugar, which will have a negative impact on the well-being of that particular farmer and also on the economy of the country at large. Cost of farming is very expensive. Medication against diseases, major machinery, and also labor cost. So labor cost, you can put it as effect on its own, labor cost, or you can talk about medication and other medication of against diseases, crop diseases, cost. And then we can also look at rural urban migration. Many farmers who have farming skills abandon their sugar farming. So if they abandon their sugar farming, what does it mean now? It means now there's going to be less production in those sugar fields, and therefore that's going to hinder the production of sugar cane. What am I doing here? Okay, fine. We're done with sugar cane farming here. Now, from sugarcane farming, let's go to food security and food insecurity. So food security refers to when everybody in a country have got access to nutritious food. Food security is when everybody in a country has access to sufficient or to nutritious food at all times. Access to nutritious food at all times. Not access to nutritious food on Christmas Day. Not access to nutritious food on New Year's Day. So that is not food security. If a person or if people in a country have got access to nutritious food at all times to live the healthy lifestyle, that we say a country is food secure. And food security is when not everybody in a country has access to enough nutritious food. So it means now they only have nutritious food once in a year or twice in a year. Okay, so that is not food security. Now, there are a number of factors that are going to influence food security. Number one, it will be how rich the area. So food security can be, we can look at food security can be seen from different scales. You can look at food security from a household. You can look at food security from a province. You can look at the food security from countries. So you'll say now, provinces like Gauteng, it's a richer province. So it will have a better food security compared to other provinces that are not so rich. And you can also look at the countries that are developed, that have got more secondary and tertiary sectors, which are having higher economy. They will be more food secure than poor countries, especially countries that depend on farming to make their economy grow, because farming is influenced mainly by climate factors, which change from time to time. So food security will vary from area to area, from a person to a person. We can say, we can look at a person who is food secure. We can look at the person who's food insecure. We can look at the community that is food secure. We can look at the community that is food insecure. We can also look at province food secure. So food security will vary it will vary according to scales, from individuals to group of people, to countries, to provinces, to regions, like the Sahel region experiencing more food insecurity because of the large desert area, which affects farming, because it is mostly affected by El Nino, and therefore with less food production. So that is the long and short of food security. So why do we need food security? What is the importance of food security for economic development? Because when people are healthy, people are productive, and the economy grows, poverty reduction and alleviation, for trade opportunities, to increase global security and sustainability, because food insecurity causes a lot of global instability. Food insecurity, because many conflicts in the world will be there because of people they fighting for the resources mainly. If people are fighting for the resources like money or minerals, what will they do eventually with that? They will eventually buy food. So everybody will fight to have access to a mineral, so that they can be food secured. Improve well-being and healthcare. So food security, people are living healthy, and now it reduces pressure on healthcare. If few people are going to hospital because they have diseases, because of weaker immune system, that is because of a malnourishment, is going to put a burden on the health services. And now you see, it has got now a multiplier effect. Now the health services have to spend more money on medication, instead of people could have had healthier lifestyles because they were eating well. So food security is very important for the development of every country. Now, look, what are the factors that contribute to food insecurity? Why do we have other areas having people struggling with food? Number one, we have these factors, fiscal factors. So even on food security, you must be careful how the questions are being phrased. When the question says, according to the extract, what are the fiscal factors that contribute to food insecurity? The extract could say, what are the fiscal factors that contribute to food security, or what are the economic factors, or what are the social factors that are going to contribute to food security. So economic geography is a very practical topic. It is a very practical topic. So the questions there are very specific, because the questions can't be difficult. The questions in economic geography can't be difficult. They are easy. But because the questions are easy, the questions now, a little challenge that will be put into a question will be a specific question, because it cannot be difficult. The questions in economic can't be, there is no difficult question in economic geography. I expect at least everybody to score 40 marks and above out of 60, because it is so practical. But it being practical, the questions will be specific, which means now the answers must also be specific. So you must be careful. Don't go into examination center with excitement because the questions we think they are easy. Yes, they are easy, but they are very specific. They are easy but specific, and they need you to prepare and prepare well for you to do well there. Now, what are the factors that contribute to food insecurity there? You must know we have what we call physical factors, which is natural. We have drought, we have floods, outbreak of disease, land degradation because of soil erosion, and then soil infertility again because of soil erosion. Those are physical factors, and we can also have what we call social factors and economic factors. Shortage of arable land, uh, shortage of arable land. Okay, arable land, you can also bring it to physical factor because arable land is a natural feature. And then replacement of subsistence farming with cash crops. Now people are no longer producing to eat at home. They are now producing for selling. So it's cash crops. High production costs. If the production costs are high, people will be discouraged from doing farming. There is foreign competition. You see that you have bananas that come from Brazil, and you have other products that come from overseas. So they compete with local products. And so many times, I'm not sure why, people will prefer foreign products to that of local. And then that is also going to contribute to food insecurity, wars, and conflict. When people are at war, there's no production. So there's no production in farms. So once the wars take place, which is political factors, then there's not going to be any production of food. And then poor infrastructure, if the poor storage of farm products, that farm products will get wasted. If the infrastructure is not well developed, like for an example, there was a clover farm that has moved out of Lichtenberg to it has moved from Lichtenberg to KZN. So what does it mean now? It means now the clover product, people in that particular area will no longer have food security because number one, people are unemployed. Because people are unemployed, it means they can't afford to buy food. So infrastructure also will result in food insecurity, overcrowding. There's too many people and there's limited resources there. So remember, when talking about overcrowding, it's when we have too many people in an area than the area can support. That is what we call overcrowding. Lack of funds for agriculture research. So that's also going to lead to people doing farming in the way that is not very profitable and results in poor production or less yield. Lack of capital or money to invest in supplies and machinery or small-scale farming. Small-scale farming also contribute to food insecurity because small-scale farming, as much as it contributes to local food security and it also gives people food, it is not contributing more to national food security. So it means fewer people have. Now let's continue with strategies to improve food security. What can we do to make sure that everybody has got access to nutritious food at all times? Introduce rural development schemes that include skill training and funding of farms, promoting sustainable agricultural practices, addressing and resolving issues of land ownership. So, which means now, when we're speaking about this, we're referring to land reform processes, land reform. So, issues of land reform, making sure that there is land redistribution, making sure that there is land restitution, because when there is land redistribution, people will get land. When there is land restitution, people will get their land back and start farming. Helping rural households to produce their own food, which is, you can give examples here, food gardens at home, you can make that example, creating job opportunities for that people can afford to buy food, improving food emergency management systems, promote land ownership through land reform strategies, as I have already explained it here. Subsidize farmers, give farmers some money so that they can start farming, promote commercial farming or large scale farming. Large scale farming, promote large scale farming or commercial farming so that there is more production. And now, National Food Fortification Program. What is this National Food Fortification Program? This occurs when additional of essential micronutrients are added to food. So we have the food, but what are we doing there? We're adding more nutrients to that particular food so that that food is more nutritious to people. Then people can be healthier. So that is what we call food fortification. So you can, if you forget a food fortification, you can say adding more nutrients to available food. And now, one of the ways to do that, we can do genetically modified food. Modify the genes of food. Genetically modified foods produced from genetically modified plants or animals. Genetically modified plants have been engineered so that they contain one or more foreign genes, so that this gives the plant or animal improved growing properties, which means animals can grow faster and crops can grow faster as well, and with little amount of water, and animals can have resistance to diseases and harsh conditions. There are advantages of GMF. It increases food yield. There is better quality, and there is more environmentally friendly pest control. There is shorter growing period of food, like the lives, crops can be produced quicker or livestock can be produced quicker. But what is the disadvantage of genetic modification? The public is very wary. It's not trusting of genetic modification food. Seeds are more expensive because seeds can have high yield and they are resistant, so they have high value. The impact on human is unknown. So people are very wary because they don't know what are the impacts of genetically modification. Now, we go straight into gold mining. Gold mining, the importance of gold mining is not going to vary from the importance of mining. And it's not going to vary from the importance of, farming. They all contribute to the GDP, is the source of employment. It has got multiplier effects, and it attracts foreign. So this is something that we have spoken about in the earlier discussion. Also, gold mine help and foreign exchange. So these are the common factors. These are the common factors that you can give for all the importance, whether it is the importance whether it is the importance of gold mining, whether it is the importance of farming, or you can give this as all the importance. Now, let's look at factors that favor gold mining. What are the factors that favors gold mining? Factors that favors gold mining is availability of skilled. So factors that favors gold mining are not different factors from the factors that favors mining. We spoke about availability of skilled labor. We spoke about availability of water, good transport infrastructure, availability of local markets, availability of industries. So the factors are the same. Whether it is the factors that favor gold mining or it is the factors that favors mining in general. Also, one of the factors that you can talk about here is that the gold deposits are very closer to the land or to the surface. That is a specific factor that is common, or that is common in South Africa. Most of our raw materials are not too deep in into the belly of the land. So or of the earth. So they are closer to the surface. So that is also going to be very good because it reduces the time people go into the shafts, and it also reduces the chances of accidents because deeper mines are more unstable, and therefore there are high chances of accidents. But because gold mines or mineral deposits are closer to the surface, therefore it becomes easy. And then again, specific factors that we can also give here is that there is the thermal temperatures, the temperatures of the rocks. The temperatures of the rocks are cooler compared to temperatures because you don't have to go deeper into the soil. So the temperatures are not that hot. So that's one of the specific factors that you could give. And now, what are the factors that are hindering gold mining? It's the very same factors that we gave earlier on. It inconsistent exchange rates, underground flooding. We gave this labor unrest. Okay, I have underground flooding twice here. The rise in labor costs, minimum wage, transportation. So these factors, we have given these factors when we're looking at the factors that hinders mining in general. Now, they are the very same factors that are going to hinder. They are the very same factors that are going to hinder gold mining, because gold mining and mining is the same thing. It's just a different product. Mining is mining. Now, let's look at the what we call environmental impacts or environmental injustices. So when we talk of injustice, remember we're talking about unfairness. So unfairness can be called environmental, it can be called economic. So when we're speaking of economic injustice, we're talking about unfair sharing of resources. When we're talking about an when we're talking about environmental injustice, we're talking about unfair treatment of the environment. When you polluting the land and doing all things. Now, what is the environmental injustices associated with gold mining? Number one, there's going to be natural vegetation that is destroyed. What am I doing here? Natural environment, natural vegetation will be removed. Number two, the vegetation is removed, it destroys natural habitats. So we destroy natural vegetation, then we destroy natural habitats. The land is destroyed, and now what we have? We have mine slimes and we have mine dumps. The chemicals that leach into dumps, they cause land pollution. We have land pollution there. We also have sinkholes that develop because of that. We have acid water that develop there. And then we have coal mining that is associated with mining. Cold mining that is associated with gold mining will also cause a lot of carbon dioxide. So this will be environmental impacts. So we said destruction of vegetation, and then when we're speaking vegetation, animals also live on vegetation. Now, if the vegetation is removed, automatically a natural habitat is removed. And then again, what happens? You can also talk about the natural ecosystems that are going to be in balance. So it is just playing around with the same answers, but giving different facts, but playing with the same factors. And then can also bring about soil erosion. Can also talk about soil erosion that you can bring in there. You can also talk about land degradation, because number one, the land is going to be polluted. So the land is going to lose its value. So once the land has lost the value, we say the grading of the land has decreased. So it is land degradation. And then you also have the increase in temperatures due to high pollution that is released in the mines. Now, let's look at these important concepts that we are going to use under mine. Under secondary sector. So we're moving from primary activity now, we're going to secondary activities. Secondary activities or secondary sector, it refers to the processing of raw material into finished or semi-finished goods. Into finished or semi-finished goods. Like for example, you can be looking at a product that comes from a maize. You can looking at the product that comes from maize, and then when you create maize meal, when you create maize meal, you have created a product there, but you are not going to eat maize meal. You first have to cook it, and then now you are going to end up with your finished product there. So you can also have different products that are in different stages. So when you talk about manufacturing, when you talk about secondary sector, it's simply about manufacturing. So what are the key important key or important concepts that you must know? What are the important or key concepts? So you must know GDP. What is GDP? Total value of goods and services produced in a country in a year. And then we have what you call GNP, is the total value of goods and services produced by the permanent citizens of a country in 1 year. Then we have types of industries. We have footloose industry, which is an industry. I'm not going to continue talking about these industries again. I'm just going to look at these industries in this concept. So when you speak of footloose industry, we're talking about an industry that can locate in any place without being affected by factors such as market or raw material. And then we also have what we call ubiquitous industries. So many learners could confuse footloose industries to ubiquitous industries. Remember, the word ubiquitous means found everywhere. The word ubiquitous means found everywhere. So ubiquitous industries are those industries that are found everywhere in all areas that we go. So these industries, they are found everywhere so long as there is a market. So they cannot be separated from their market or from the market that they serve. That's your ubiquitous industries. They are found everywhere so long as there's a market. But now, footloose industries are that industries that can locate in any place, and they are not influenced by either the market or the raw material. But we said ubiquitous, they cannot be separated from the market they serve. Footloose can be located anywhere, and then their location is not influenced by either the market or the raw material. Then we have your foreign exchange, simply refers to the money paid to South Africa by other countries, e.g. in dollars. So when you say that a sector earns foreign exchange, it means people are going to pay in their money in order to obtain goods or services from a country. Formal sector refers to all registered businesses. And then we have IDZ, is the industrial estates or areas aimed at economic growth and new investment in developing countries. And informal sector is the opposite of formal sector, is the unregistered businesses. And then bridge industry, if you have an bridge industry, so what is a bridge industry? It means here you have raw material, and here you have an industry, and here you have the market or the customers. So a bridge industry is this industry that is linking these two. Is called a bridge industry. It is an industry that is found between the raw material. So you take the raw material from this side, then you manufacture the products from here, then you take the finished products to the market. So that's what we call a bridge industry, an industry found between the raw material and the market. Sometimes this industry is called a break of bulk industry. It's called a break of bulk industry. So that is the industry that is found between the raw material and the market. Then we have this concept, balance of trade. What is balance of trade? Is the value of exports minus the value of imports. So your balance of trade can either be positive or it can be negative. What makes balance of trade positive is when the value of export is higher. When the value of export is higher than the value of import. So for export, the country is gaining. For export, the country gains because you are selling. So, and then for import, the country spends. Import, the country spends. Now, if the value of exports is higher than the value of imports, now we say now the balance of trade is favorable or positive. If the value, if a country has made more money than the money that it has spent, we say the balance of trade is favorable or is positive. But if the value of imports is higher than the value of export, then it is negative. So a country that is going to sell raw material and make a certain amount, and a country that is going to sell finished products, the country that sells finished products is going to make more money because, number one, finished products are more expensive, but raw material are cheaper. So the process of beneficiation is taking place when the value of a product increases. We call that beneficiation. So it's very important that the countries manufacture products from their own raw materials and sell the finished products because the finished products are more expensive and therefore they result in a higher or better balance of trade. Now, we have another concept here. It's called balance of payment. Balance of payment. So balance of payment is an easy thing. It's all the transactions that a country make during export and import or during trade. So it means we look at the slips. The country was buying cars from Germany and it was selling iron and steel products to Germany. And the country was buying bananas from Brazil. It was buying chicken from Brazil. So you put all those things, what the country, the slips that the country had when they were selling products and when they were buying products. You put them together and you call them balance of payment. So it's all the transactions that a country make during trade. Now, we continue with our secondary sector, raw material orientated industry. So if you have raw material here and you put an industry here, this is raw mat and this is an industry. This industry is called raw material orientated industry. So usually raw material orientated industry are heavy industries. Usually they are heavy industries. And the industries are located very close to the source of raw material because it is very expensive to transport raw material to the industry. But it's cheaper to transport finished products to the market. So instead, the industry is located closer to the raw material than to the market. And usually these are heavy industries and they produce a lot of pollution. But even if they don't produce a lot of pollution, the raw material will be more expensive to transport than the finished product. So these are the industries that are usually found in the rural urban fringe. And then we have market-oriented industry. So market-oriented industry is usually, market-oriented industries, they are usually light industries. They are usually light industry, like a bakery. A bakery is a market-oriented industry. it is usually located closer to the source of, not closer to the source, closer to the customers or closer to the market. We call it market orientated. Those are usually the light industries. Then you have, I have already made a relationship between heavy industries and market orientated. So your heavy industries are usually your raw material oriented industries, that are industries that manufacture heavy and bulky products. And we have looked at their characteristics: noisy, found in the outskirts or in the rural urban fringe. And light industries, they are usually found closer to people, and they are making lighter products, and they are characterized by lesser pollution and lesser noise. Now, what are the importance of secondary sector? So, the importance of secondary sector is the importance and the importance of all economic sectors are the same. They all create employment. So farming create employment in primary sector, mining create employment in primary sector, secondary sector also create employment, empower previously disadvantaged communities. Also, secondary sector will also stimulate the development of infrastructure. So, whatever the characteristics, whatever the importance that you give, secondary sector we also export finished products. So, it also boosts the economy of the country. It boosts the GDP. It also stimulates the development of infrastructure. It also have a multiplier effect because one industry can give rise to another industry. An industry that is making sugar needs an industry that is going to package that sugar. So that is a multiplier effect. What are the factors that favor industrial development in South Africa? It is availability of water, availability of labor, availability of electricity, good transport network, and availability of the market. So these are the factors that favors industrial development in South Africa. Now, this is the map that is showing industries. So what we have here, you have industries. What we have industries there. So will this be considered to be heavy industry or light industries? They are heavy industries. Why would you say these are light industries? Because they are located in the rural urban fringe. They are located on the outskirts. They are located on the outskirts of the town. Now, what is the other factor that you can look at here? Here, you can see there aren't many contour lines here, showing that this area over here is flat. It's showing that this area over here is flat. What is the other factor that you can look at here? You have the road here, you have the railway here. So transport network is available for these industries there. Also, what do you have here? You have people here that come here. This is a residential area. This is where people can come, and here you can look at that being a town or something like that. So here, what are you going to have? You're going to have shops here. Here, you're also going to have shops. You're going to get people coming here. So what do you get here? You have labor that comes from here. You also have market that comes here from here. So that is why we have this industry there. There is water availability here. There is raw material availability here. We can assume that these industries here over here, they are using raw material from this orchards here. We have orchards there. So we have orchards there. You can look at the orchards. So this industry could be doing that. We have also farm there. We could also be using the farm products here. So because this is cultivated land, but these are orchards. So this could be where these industries are getting their raw material from. So this you will consider to be heavy industry because of its location. And then you can see what factors favor industrial development. You can see there's power lines there. One of the factors that favor industrial development is power line. You can see the power line there. These are the factors that favors industrial development. So this is much applicable in your map, as you can also look at it from theory point of view. Now, let's look at the core industrial regions of South Africa. So we have 4 core industrial regions in South Africa. Number 1, we have Gauteng, or PWV region. You have Durban, Pinetown, or eThekwini. Then you have Southwestern Cape, and then you have Nelson Mandela. But for 2025, you must know that Southwestern Cape is found in the Western Cape. You must know that Port Elizabeth HNH is found in the Eastern Cape. Then you must know that Durban Pinetown is found in the KZN, and Gauteng PWV is found in Gauteng. But for the purpose of 2025 examination, we are going to focus mainly on these two. We're going to focus on PWV and Durban Pinetown. So this is an overview, but from this overview, I'm going to look straight into the type of industries that you are going to get in PWV. Number one, in PWV, you have aircraft industry, which is the industry that makes aircraft. We have chemical industry. We have iron and steel industry. You have motor vehicle industry, or sometimes they call it automobile industry. So these are the main industries that you find in PWV. Before we look at the factors that favors industrial development in PWV, we have already looked at the types of industries. So we're not going to go back. We're not going to come back to this. These are the type of industries that you find in PWV. You have your aircraft industry, chemical industry, iron and steel industry, motor vehicle industry. So these are the main industries that you find. These are the main industries that you find in the PWV area, or Gauteng. It's called PWV, or it's called Gauteng Industrial Area. Now we have Durban Pinetown. That's the next one. What you should know is that the main industries there is chemical industries, is oil refinery industries, is sugar cane or sugar milling industry, and we have shipbuilding. So these are the main industries. So it's very important that you are able to name the main industries in these areas. Now, Pretoria Witwatersrand, this is the largest of the four core industrial region, and it is the only core industrial region that is situated inland. If you can look at it here, the Southwestern Cape is on the coast. Port Elizabeth, HNH is also at the coast, and Durban Pinetown is at the coast. So the only one that is landlocked, that is found in the interior of the country, is the Gauteng, PWV. Then it is situated in the province of Gauteng, which is a place of gold. What are the factors? Why do we have this industrial area? So even before we go into those things, you must always know that we have industries. We have industries anywhere in South Africa. We have industries anywhere in South Africa because of availability of power, labor, transport, raw material, market, and water. So these are the main factors that favors industrial development anywhere in South Africa. So even if you could not be specific, and talk about things in particular, if you have given factors that favor industrial development, you are still correct. Now, let's look at now the specific factors. PWV in Gauteng. Gauteng is well-developed province. So there are specific factors that favors industrial development in Gauteng, which is good transport network. We have good roads, good rail, and air transportation. And we have well linked to other regions through harbors and large market because of the population. Sometimes the examiner asks you the impact of high population in PWV or in Durban. How does it favor industrial development? You must know that population is going to serve as market. Population is also going to serve as labor. So that's how it's important. There is a lot of raw material available in Gauteng. So the raw material in terms of your mining products. And then Gauteng has skilled labor which is available for mining for industrial purposes, and we have large power station because Gauteng is very close to Mpumalanga, and therefore there is not much of a challenge when it gets to industrial development. However, you can talk about the challenge that you have, which is load shedding. But load shedding is a challenge that is happening, but the closeness to Mpumalanga Harbor is the one that is favorable because of what? Because of access to electricity. So it does not mean because there is load shedding, we cannot use electricity. So one of the factors that favors industrial development in PWV is we are closer to the power stations, and therefore we're supposed to be having a better access to electricity. And there is sufficient water supply. Because of sufficient water supply, because Gauteng is highly populated, there is Tugela Val water project that is used in order to add into or to reduce water shortages. Because when the population of Gauteng increased and then industrial development increased, it put a lot of pressure on industrial development. And then what was the solution there? Was to bring into Tugela Val water transfer scheme to make sure that there is additional water to what the province had. Now, what are the factors that hinders industrial development? Number one, it's over concentration of industries. Because of over concentration of industries, this results in strain in natural resources. There is over concentration. So these factors are so related to each other. Number one, factors that hinder industrial development is over concentration of industries. So over concentration of industries is going to result in, number one, in strain on resources like water, electricity. I was talking about water shedding and load shedding, all those things. So it is because of many industries and there is high demand for resources. There's load shedding as well, which is also as a result of strain on resources. There's strain on transport infrastructure that results in traffic congestion. PWV industrial region is far from the harbor. Therefore, it is expensive if you are to sell your products to overseas, because you are going to spend more money, or you're going to spend a lot of money transporting your products inside the land before they can even go to the shore to be exported outside. And industries, especially heavy industries, create a lot of air pollution. They create a lot of air pollution, so that is factors hindering labor unrest or protest, safety problems, power struggle between labor unions and industries, production decrease due to workers taking more sick leave. So it comes back to all those factors when we're talking about the HIV and AIDS. We're talking about COVID-19. We're talking about all other diseases. They will also contribute to people leaving work and all those other factors that we talk about that reduce production. Hard lockdown during pandemics has a negative impact in production. So now let's look at the economic and social impacts of PWV region. Now it boosts the economy, it creates employment, it results in skill development, it earns foreign earning, development of infrastructure. So these are the economic and social impacts that we gave when we're talking about farming, when we talk about mining, when we're talking industrial manufacturing. So this economic and social impacts of economic activities will be the same. Economic and social impacts of economic activities will be the same. They are all going to boost the economy. They're all going to create jobs. They're going to earn foreign exchange. They're going to develop skill. So the social and economic impacts will be the same. Yeah. Now, what are the factors that favor the location? Why do we have this PWV located where it is? Is because there's availability. So the factors that favors industrial development and that favors location will be slightly different, but there are more common factors there. So the location, there could be factors that influence the location, and those factors could be physical factors that influence location. But other factors would be social factors, which will not necessarily be physical factors. So number one is availability of labor. That's why we have industries, good transport. Okay, now I think I have messed up this. I have messed this. Um, this is relating now to this is now relating to here is the last topic on, or last subtopic or last discussion on PWV. Now we're moving to what we call Durban Pinetown. What are the factors that favors uh, location of Durban Pinetown? This one would be Durban Pinetown. Factors that favors the location of Durban Pinetown. It will be now availability of labor. It will be good transport network to access the markets, including a harbor and King Shaka International Airport, enough water supply for the industries and generate electricity, access to domestic and international market, high population to serve markets as labor, availability of raw materials such as sugar cane to support the industries, and availability of institutions of higher learning to equip labor with skills. What are the factors that limit industrial development in KZN? Is limited household levels of production, high levels of unemployment. Because of high level of unemployment, it means people will not be buying products. Low household income, limited access to social facilities, and limited transport infrastructure. Now, when it comes to economic and social impacts of Durban Pinetown, is the same as the one for PWV, has the same impacts. There's no need for you to be looking at the economic and social impacts of Durban Pinetown. When you have looked at them, when you have looked at the economic and social impacts of PWV, they are the same. Now, we're looking at strategies for industrial development. What are strategies for industrial development? Prior to 1994, uh, development was focused in the four core regions that we have spoken. But after 1994, the government came up with strategies for strategies. They came up with strategies for industrial development, ensuring that all areas experience development. So what did they come up with? They came up with number one, industrial development zones, or IDZ. So what is an IDZ? It's an industrial zone that has been identified specifically for export-driven industry. So this is a concept you might have defined it differently from what is written here. Sometimes you can say it is an industrial estate that is built in order to support export. It is an industrial estate developed to support export. That is your IDZ. And then we have what we call Spatial Development Initiative. It is the area that have been identified in South Africa as having the potential for economic growth. Or you can also use a definition that says it is a transport link between major metropolitans and harbors. So it also help in development of not development. It also helped in the export of finished goods. So you can say it is a transport and communication link between major transport links and metropolis, so, or metropolitans. So that is your SDI. And then we have this concept of decentralization. If industries were placed here and you put them away from the central point, what have you done? You have decentralized. And then we also have the strategy that was called Good Hope strategy. What was the characteristics of Good Hope? Number one, it is the spread of economic wealth in South Africa. What am I doing here? Okay. It is the spread of economic wealth in South Africa. It led to the geographic regions that make up the 9 provinces. So it means now development is no longer concentrated in 4 core areas only. It deconcentrated points that were created. It isolated industrial development points that were identified. So, and also tax incentives were given for people to develop industries in different places, and border industries created on the borders of homelands. Remember back then in the during before 1994, where we used to have we used to have homelands, there would be industries outside the homelands so that these industries will provide employment for people in those homelands. Now, let's look at comparison now. Let's look at the comparison between the SDI and IDZ. We say SDI are transport and communication link between major industries or industrial areas, metropolitan area, and harbors. They are communication links. They are communication links between major industrial areas, metropolitan areas, and harbors. This is your SDI. Or you can say they are development corridors along major transport routes. I think this one is a simpler one that you can adopt. They are development corridors along major transport routes. I think this one is shorter. You can remember this easy. And we have also what we call IDZ. It is Industrial Development Zone. What are they? They are purpose-built industrial estates to support export. They are purpose-built industrial estates to support export, which means now these industrial estates was simply built to support export. They are purpose-built industrial estates to support transport. So, you know, we have estates where people live, but these ones are not estates where people live. They are enclosed area. It is an enclosed area, but this enclosed area is simply for different industries. It is simply for industries, but it is there just to support export. It is a purpose-built industrial estate to support export. And then, what are the aims of SDIs and IDZ? The aims is to develop existing transport infrastructure, is to create an environment for private sector investment, is to initiate economic activities along the transport corridor, is to improve trade, to improve international trade for export, is for movement of raw materials by road and rail, movement of finished goods by road and rail, accessibility to markets, virtual and actual, and the importance there is to attract tourists, because when you improve infrastructure, you make the country to be accessible, and therefore people can migrate, or they cannot migrate, they can move easy. When they move easy, they can visit the country. Now, what are the aims of IDZ? Number one is to promote growth in areas that are underdeveloped, is to create development in areas that are underdeveloped. Or we can simply say is creation of new jobs. Creation of new jobs. You can also say it is to improve infrastructure that is existing and build new infrastructure. I think these ones will be so easy to remember. The importance of IDZ, creation of new jobs, and improvement of the existing infrastructure and building new infrastructure. Again, is to encourage increased levels of foreign or direct investment in the economy, and to encourage or to promote international competitiveness, and to encourage manufacturing in areas and use of resources in those areas. So those will be the aims of IDZ. But when it comes to IDZ, you don't need to cram all these facts here. You don't have to cram all these facts here. Remember, most of the questions here will be source-based when it comes to economic geography. Most of the questions here are source-based. And then you have to bring in the definition. Yes, definition will not be source-based. You have to be able to define the concepts there. You have to define the concepts here. So like we said, SDI is development corridor along major transport routes. It's a definition. IDZ is a purpose-built industrial estate to support exports. And then this importance or the aims. So the aims will also serve as the importance, because once you achieve the aim, it becomes an importance. So the importance will be to develop infrastructure, because the aim is to develop infrastructure. So the purpose, the importance will be it has developed infrastructure. So the aims and the purpose will not be different from one another. If you are able to play around with your answers. Now, the SDI that you are going to be assessed on is the one that we call Maputo Corridor. The SDI that we are going to be assessed on is the Maputo Corridor. Is the Maputo Corridor that we are going to be assessed on. Special development initiative that is set aside for us to study for 2025. It is a Maputo Corridor. So you can see it is we said in definition, what is an SDI? Let's look at an SDI. We said it's a development corridor along major transport routes. It is a development corridor along major transport routes. Now let's go to Maputo Corridor and look here. So this is major transport routes. So what is the transport route here? This transport route here is N4. So what are you looking at here? You can look, you have rail transport and you have road transport. So you can look, this is an area of development. These are the areas of development. But where are they found? They are found along this route here. So let's look back into the definition. We say it's a development corridor along major transport routes, or you say transport and communication links between major industrial area, metropolitan area, and harbor. Now let's go back here and see. You see we have your major transport area here, and they are found along this. So the countries that are involved there is South Africa, you have Zimbabwe, we have Swaziland, you have Botswana, and you have Mozambique, because it comes from Johannesburg all the way to Maputo. So this will be your metropolitans. This will be your metropolitans. This will be your industrial area. So when you're looking at the SDI will also have the same impacts as industries individually. So we said industries will create jobs. Also SDI will create jobs because they have all this development along them. So we're looking at the importance of this Maputo corridor. It relates into the upgrading of the N4 highway. So it means now your SDI will also serve your IDZ, because your IDZ are found along your SDIs. So your industries are found along the path. So we're talking about major industries. So these two concepts are so related to each other, even if they are not the same. So you find that here you are going to have industries. You can have industries here. You can have industries there. You will have industries here. So if you have industrial estates here, you have industrial estates here, you have industrial estates here, those will be your SDIs. But now they are all linked by this transport route. They are linked by this communication and transport link. So your SDIs and your IDZ, they are linked to each other because the other one is a corridor, the other one are specific areas. They are estates. You find an estate here, and you link one estate to another estate. Then you link all other industries which are non IDZs. So the importance there was the upgrading of the N4 highway and the Maputo Harbor, 129 hectares, is favoring this SDI. The Rizano Garcia border post of Mozambique has been upgraded because to allow for trade. The railway line between Johannesburg and Maputo has also been upgraded. The gas pipeline between Sasolburg and Maputo, the Mazel aluminum smelt. So these are the activities. These are the activities along the Maputo corridor. So all these activities that you find there, they have a potential of creating jobs. All these activities that we have here, all these toll plazas, people are working there by toll plazas, collecting money from people, vehicles that are passing. You have Mazal aluminum smelters. They are found along Maputo corridor. You have a gas pipeline that you get there. Railway. So these are also economic activities that you find along here. There's steel manufacturing in Middleburg, vehicle manufacturing in Pretoria. Bombela also has services there. This has result in improved electricity because there are many industries there, and this results in overall improvement and development of infrastructure. Now let's look at the economic advantages. So the economic advantages of SDIs. The economic advantages of SDIs are the same as economic and social advantages of industries in general. They are the same. They all create employment opportunities. They increase buying power. So all you need to do is look at what are the benefits. So all what you have here is everything that we have repeated from the beginning. So they have similar economic advantages. Now let's look at this advantages there. Let's look at number one. It creates jobs. It increases buying power. It enables the growth of small and medium enterprises. It improves transportation, communication network, attracts informal and formal activities. Tourism increases. Standard of living, wealth of people increase. Poverty is alleviated. New businesses are developing. The corridor makes transport between countries easy. The total GDP and GNP of the country is also going to increase. What will be the social advantages? Quality of life improves because people have got jobs, access to services and amenities. Money is going to be generated. Development of ethnic cultural pride. Mobility of people is going to increase because of improved infrastructure. It reduces rural urban migration, skill development. Also, entrepreneurial ship will be developed. Reduces crime because people have got jobs. There's better housing. There's upliftment of community, medical sectors. Also, these industries will also provide bursaries to learners around there. They also have community responsibilities. So there's a number of reasons that you can give. So economic geography is so practical, You just need to think. Now, what will be the environmental injustice? The environmental injustice for SDI is not different from the environmental injustice for IDZ. Environmental injustice, number one, is the negative impact on the environment. So it's going to result in destruction of natural habitats, destruction of natural vegetation. We spoke about land degradation. We spoke about air pollution. So it is the very same factors, the environmental impacts that are caused by industries and the environmental impacts that are caused by the SDI and IDZ are all the same. You cannot have a difference there. Now, the last topic that we're looking at here is the IDZ. IDZ, Industrial Development Zone. This Industrial Development Zone is called Dube Trade Port, and Dube Trade Port is found in KZN at the coast. Now, let's look at the factors that favor this Dube Trade Port. What I want to emphasize to you, dear learners, is that so many times when we hear new concepts like SDI and IDZ, we think so deep about it and we get so scared. So we think it's a difficult thing. IDZ and SDI are not anything new. It's just a naming of things that are existing already. Because when you're speaking of a corridor, Maputo corridor, we're talking about SDI. It's the same roads that is linking different towns and cities. The same thing. We're talking about industrial development zone. It's the same industries. It's the estates of industries. And the estates of industries, what is it doing? It is simply manufacturing products, and the product will be exported. So it does the same thing that was done by industries. So what you should know that it's nothing that is extraordinary. It's nothing that is too different from other things. So don't be threatened by the word SDI and start saying, oh, SDI, IDZ. Don't be threatened by those and start thinking SDI and IDZ are things that are out of this world. It's just naming of features that are already existing, because we already had roads. But when you're looking at those roads in that particular area and we start demarcating and saying this SDI starts from Maputo, it ends at Johannesburg. It is the road between Johannesburg and Maputo was always existing. So we're now just calling it a Maputo corridor because it's linking Maputo and Johannesburg. But it's nothing extraordinary. So don't think that SDIs and IDZ are new concepts, and because they are new concepts and therefore they are difficult. No, they are not difficult. And even when you talk about factors and the benefits or the economic impacts, don't think because it's IDZ and SDI, it must be something that is extraordinary. It is just activities that are creating jobs. They are going to have the same impacts. So look at it from a very relaxed point of view. Don't think of it because it's something that you only heard of in grade 12. Then it is something that is very new. It is not something that is very new. Yes, it is new because it was introduced from 1994 or post 1994. But even when it was introduced, it was only acknowledging the structures that were already there and keeping and calling them in different names. And yes, there will be new ideas that develop, but do not be scared and think this is something that is very difficult and the answers must be very difficult from what you know. So your SDI, they can provide bursaries, just like any other industry can provide bursary. They can improve quality of life, just like any other industry can improve quality of life. So the answers should not scare you. You should not be scared by the word SDI or IDZ. These things are simple. We have been living with them and they've always been there. Now, what are the factors that are favorable for the development of not Maputo corridor? We have now moved to the IDZ, the Dube Trade Port. No, there's hugely efficient infrastructure. We know KZN has got good infrastructure. There's seamless support services provisioning available. That gives business competitive edge. Kinshasa International. So Kinshasa International is very important. So here you can look at specific factors that favors there, like Kinshasa. Kinshasa is not everywhere else, but it is an airport that favors export because the purpose of IDZ is to support export. So Kinshasa is good for export. There are two seaports. There are two seaports here in Dube trade port that make exporting and importing favorable. So they made it easy. There's major freight corridor between Gauteng and the ports of Durban, and there is a 50-year master plan with hectares of land. There's a large land. So there is large land that is used here for Dube trade port, and there is bouquet service that is offered, and there is also government support that is also improving the government. That's improving, or that is favoring the industrial development here in a Dube trade port, because Dube trade port is simply industries that are put together in one place so that they can support the export of finished products. And then what are the challenges that they are facing there? It's cash flow. The IDZ could only be situated in a few regions located closer to an airport or seaport, and the nature of support of IDZ received in the past, which has government, and there is poor planning, which is a factor there, and lack of skilled labor. Because of poor or lack of skilled labor, then that's going to be a problem. Now, what are the economic advantages? Then what are the social advantages of the IDZ? The economic advantages and the social advantages of the IDZ are the same as that of the SDI. They all result in creation of employment, increasing of earnings, skill development, access to resources of these areas, promotes development of new and existing infrastructure, provide. So IDZ will do the same as SDIs. SDIs promotes the development of new and existing infrastructure. So are IDZ. So the economic and social advantages are the same. So we've been talking about the social and economic advantages when we started with our primary sector. So the economic and social advantages are so related to each other. You cannot separate them from one another. This provides access to different markets and assisting with the economic upliftment of different places. It promotes local and international trade and efficient transport network to move raw materials and finished goods. So efficient transport that we're talking about here, this IDZ is the same as SDI. Employment opportunities, foreign investment, it promotes imports and export. So you see the link between the concepts, between the IDZ and SDI. So the economic importance or the economic advantages and the social advantages are the same because it's all economic activities. Remember, the topic is economic geography of South Africa. So we're looking at all factors that contribute to the economy of South Africa. Social advantage, it creates employment, earning potential is increasing, buying power of local will also increase, improvement of quality of life, skill development, infrastructure development, improvement of service facilities, more investment. So if you take these factors, you can simply answer these answers. Even when you can give these answers, when you're answering the question, you can give these answers even when the question is talking about SDI or IDZ, because the economic advantages and social advantages are the same. That is why you cannot leave a blank space. You have to answer all the questions because you already know the questions. You already know the questions. So all the questions must be answered. Now, we have lastly, our topic is informal sector. So informal sector simply referred to unregistered businesses. And now, reasons why do we have informal sector? We have informal sector because people lost their jobs. There is lack of formal education that people have. So people cannot show the certificate. So they cannot be, if you cannot show an employer your qualifications, it means you cannot be employed, because what the formal sector wants, they want a minimum of degree or minimum of matric certificate or equivalence thereof. So if you cannot produce that, but you can still work, so what do you do now? You involve yourself in the informal sector. Large scale immigration, meaning people moving from other countries into South Africa, moving from other provinces to Gauteng, or so that's the reasons, or into metropolis, many metropolitans. Other people are going to move from different provinces or from different countries. They go to Pretoria, they go to Johannesburg, they go to all metropolitans where there are better job opportunities. So because of that, immigration is going to result in people not getting formal jobs, and therefore they need one way to survive. Urbanization, meaning that the percentage of people living in urban area has increased so much, and therefore those people need to survive. And single-headed families, you find that people will find one way or the other to survive. And now, the importance of informal sector. What is the importance of informal sector? It equips people with skills, entrepreneur skills, lower the unemployment rate. It sells goods at a lower price, and so many times people have to do Uber Eats. But you find so many informal traders, you don't have to pay for transportation. People will just come and pass by your household selling whatever products. So it makes access to products easy. It makes access to product easy, and it makes access to products, it makes products cheaper. It sells cheaper products, and it helps to minimize crime. It reduces crime. And now, what are the general characteristics? Number one is that they do not pay income tax. The workers there do not pay income tax. It is not tax. They do pay tax because everybody pays tax, which is VAT when you buy a product. But these ones, they do not pay income tax. It mainly consists of women and children. Businesses are found mainly in the CBD. It consists of unskilled and semi-skilled labor, mostly consist of self-workers and self-affordable food products. What are the challenges that people that work in informal sector face? What are their challenges? Number one, bad weather. Once the weather is bad, because they don't have infrastructure that they are working in, they cannot work. Their work is influenced by weather. Their work is influenced by weather, and most of them, they don't have capital, and they are usually harassed by officials or authorities. They are exposed to crime because they don't have places to work at. They have inconsistent income. Today could be higher, tomorrow it could be less or none. There is no trading facilities. How can we help informal traders? We can provide them with infrastructure to work in, storage systems, storage facilities. We can help them with skill and training. They can partner with formal sector. We can regulate the sector, not register. The word there is not register. Once you register them now, it's no longer formal. But what can you do? You can regulate, show, put some strategies on how to operate, or some regulations on how to operate. Not register. Once you say register them, now you're changing from informal to formal sector. So you can support them by regulating them, not by registering them, and provide loans and subsidies for them to function. And at this point in time, I think You will be ready to write your examination paper 2, which is highly practical, and you will be able to do well. And I want to say thank you for paying attention.